Hey guys, and welcome to episode 4 of GDX. I'm your host Chris, and with me tonight is Mr. Kaleb.
Hey guys, what's up?
What's going on, K-Train?
Not too much. Just, enjoying a little bit of a holiday break. What about you?
Christmas, my friend.
Merry Christmas indeed.
I don't enjoy days off because I've been off since March. Well, May. But, had Christmas yesterday, and then, just hanging out today. That's what I'm doing. I get to go see my mom this weekend, so.
Okay. That's cool.
And I'll see my dad on Sunday, and I haven't seen him since last Christmas Eve, so.
Okay. Well, that's nice.
Yeah.
That's sort of cool. Get to see some people, since everyone else is off now.
Yeah. What are we talking about tonight, though, Kaleb?
I thought we were going to talk about our favorite games of the year, because we already talked about 2019.
Yeah, yes, we did. So, yes, that's what we're here to. Now, I sent you a text message, and you never responded to it. I said, do you want to do our favorite media of 2018? And you didn't respond back.
Oh, I didn't respond because the next message you sent after that woke me up, and then I responded to that. And then I forgot to respond to that first one. Because he texted me like a couple hours after that. Yeah, we can. I mean, I don't know if I saw a lot of movies this year, honestly. It was just a little strange for movies. I've seen a lot of TV shows and stuff, but we can do that if there's not enough games you think to talk about for 2018.
No, I think that there is. There was a lot of good movies and a lot of good TV this year.
There were a lot of good movies and TV this year. That is correct. Well, I'm trying to think of what I watched, because I can only remember a few things here and there. There's some good television. I watched some older television. I didn't see a lot of movies. I saw some really good movies, but only like a handful, I think. I didn't go out very much.
I didn't go out very much either. I saw a lot of movies at home. That's
fine. That's fine, too. I saw What We Do in the Shadows last night, or the other night, which is like 2 years old, but it was pretty good, so that's cool.
I'm going to see Aquaman tomorrow.
Nice. Yeah, I haven't really checked on the reviews for Aquaman. I remember somebody saying it was a bunch of big dumb fun.
That's big dumb fun. But it's Aquaman, so he's my favorite superhero, so I'm very excited.
Which is fine. It's only slightly below Vice, so that's fine.
What is Vice?
I want to go see Vice. That's the one with Christian Bale as Dick Cheney in the Dick Cheney biopic.
Oh, I want to see that.
Yeah, it looks really good. It looks very artsy, but it looks very not artsy. It looks very yes, that's what I was gonna say. Which is fine. Christian Bale as a fat man is always good. So I'm looking forward to that.
I see Sherlock and Holmes until I saw that it has a 0 rating on Rotten Tomatoes.
I could have anticipated that 0 rating. I'm not going to lie. I could have anticipated that. So I didn't even remember it was coming out. But then I'd seen a couple trailers recently, and I was like, oh god, this is not gonna do well. Yeah, no, it's not doing well.
I wanted to see it because the last Will Ferrell, John C. Reilly movie I saw was Step Brothers, and Step Brothers is fucking hilarious.
Step Brothers is one of the few movies I couldn't get into. I don't know.
I fucking love Step Brothers.
It's I guess it's a huge cult classic, but I don't know. It just wasn't necessarily for me, or maybe I need to try watching it again. I
don't know. I love Step Brothers. It is like the dumbest of dumb movies that I love.
See, for me, that movie would probably be Grandma's Boy.
Oh, I love that movie too.
Which is the dumbest bullshit ever, but it's pretty damn funny.
See, I'm thinking about getting robot legs. It's a really risky procedure, but it's worth it.
Oh god, that guy's character, his whole character, just so good.
You don't appreciate it because you don't have robot ears?
Yeah. Drive Monkey Drive.
He's one of my favorite villains in a movie of all time.
He's been in a bunch of other stuff, but I don't remember what else I've seen him in.
He's in Dodgeball.
That's right. Okay, yeah, he is in Dodgeball. He's in a lot of those stupid films.
Which is another movie that is fucking stupid as hell, but fucking amazing.
I do love Dodgeball as well. That was very much, I think that was like junior year of high school for me when that movie came out.
I saw that movie in the drive-in.
You guys had a drive-in?
We still have a drive-in.
Does it still show stuff?
Yeah. You go and you pay like $6 for a car, and you get a double feature of 2 really cool movies.
Oh, wow. I think we had one in Santa Barbara. I don't think it's open anymore, but I don't remember. It's been quite a while.
But back to 2018. Do you want to start on games? You want to start on movie? You want to start on TV?
Let's start on games.
Okay.
And because that's going to be the biggest, I assume. And then when we can get into other stuff later for people who are interested in that conversation. But I think the games are what people mostly come for.
So we're doing top 5 games.
Yeah.
In order from least favorite to most favorite.
I'm just going to do a top 5 because this year, like 2017, was pretty damn stacked. And
See,
even
I don't
choosing
think this was as stacked as 2017.
You don't think so?
No,
well, maybe
no.
not as stacked, but it was still pretty stacked. I don't know if I could rank my top 5 any more than top 5. And even though there's a bunch of other games that I have honorable mentions for that I think are worth attention this year.
No. Top 5 only. No more honorable mentions. Then we're doing a top 7 or a top 12 or a top 10.
There's so many good games that are awesome, but just don't quite make that 5 for me, is all I'm saying. I played a lot of really great stuff this year.
So did I, but I had to cut it to 5 games.
Then we'll cut it to 5 games, and they'll stick to the 5 games.
All right, what's
That's
your first
fine.
game you want to talk about?
So first, I want to talk about, we talked about it a little bit, and I think this is one of the few games we're going to have in common this year, but it's talk about Red Dead Redemption 2.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm going to start playing Red Dead Redemption 2 while I'm at it. I still haven't gotten back to that game. I had a lot of fun, like the first 10, 15 hours that I was playing it before I had to go back to Odyssey, because I knew if I stopped playing Odyssey, I was never going to get back to Odyssey. But I'd just been bouncing around between a few games, and now I'm trying to jump back into Redemption. And as soon as I do, I remember why I liked it so much, and I'm like, man, I should have kept playing this game.
That's me. Oh, I fucking love Red Dead Redemption. That game is so much fun. I just learned, like, the last I was playing it was right before I went in for surgery, and I had just learned to fish.
Nice.
And all I was doing was fishing.
Yeah, that seems to be pretty common with people. They're just fishing, they're just hunting, they're just doing random bullshit, and that's fine. That's what this game is for. It doesn't care. It just wants to let you have fun.
I like that it lets you play a white hat.
What do you mean? Like you can wear a white hat?
No, like I can be a white hat rather than being a black hat.
Oh, yeah, there's kind of it's not that there's necessarily like a morality system, but it's definitely pretty variable. Well, I mean, there's like honor, and I think there's some other things. I don't know if it's necessarily good or evil, but it seems more fluid than something like Fallout or like some of those types of games is what I mean.
Yes, it's much more organic.
Yeah, which is fine. I still try to be honorable, even if, I do stuff when I think I can get away with it.
I play Arthur the way that he comes off in the story.
Okay.
Like,
which is?
I don't steal. I don't kill people unless they try to kill me.
Yeah. That's fair.
Like, I'm not one of those, I'm not an asshole.
You're not an asshole. That's
like,
good.
Arthur reminds me of the way, like, remember in Red Dead how John would talk about Dutch before everything went to hell?
Vaguely. It's been a while. It's been a long time since I played it.
Super honorable man, and they just wanted to be free. They weren't really bad guys per se. Like, they just wanted to live a free life away from the government.
Yeah.
They were libertarians. So
yeah, basically.
I play Arthur that way.
Okay.
And it's a lot of fun and it feels organic, and then I don't get like weird tonal shifts, like I didn't just kill a bar full of people with my gun and now I'm like gotta go save this dude who my ex-girlfriend likes.
Fair enough.
So I love Red Dead Redemption. Yes, it is also on my list.
Nice. Okay. Yeah, no, and that sounds about fair. That's generally how I kind of try to play it. I try not to be too evil, but I will still loot here and there, like if I find dead bodies and stuff.
I
but
all the time. I hate when I get in trouble for looting a body that I find.
Yeah, I've heard that can be a bit tricky in some of the later levels when, like, the police show up really quickly. And it makes that stuff kind of difficult.
And then they were like, oh, there's a... Because this game has all the, like, weird quirks and fuck-ups that, like, a Bethesda game has. But I looted a body, and it's like, there's a witness. And I was like, okay, I'll just get away before the cops show up and know that I'm the one that did this.
Yeah.
And the next thing I know, I ride into the cops, and they come after me. And I'm like, God damn it, I have to pay off the bounty now. Because I looted a body that a cougar killed.
That kind of stuff is not ideal. It's a little tricky. It's somewhat realistic, I guess, but that's not too bad. Yeah, and there's just a lot going on in this game altogether, and oh man, I'm trying to play this game after a while. I've heard a lot of interesting things over the past couple of months from people playing it, and people are still obviously talking about it. It's still a huge deal, but it's been very divisive, which is interesting from what I've seen.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of divisiveness as well.
Like, some people really like it and really like the role-playing elements. Some people don't like the role-playing elements at all, and they just want to do shoot-bangs, basically. And they think it's way too slow, and they don't like the idea that there's so many options you have at any given time as far as commands and controls, and they fuck up a lot. It's just it's a game that really expects you to meet it halfway, I would say, which I'm fine with. Like, I'm 100% all about the deep role-playing and really getting into characters and worlds and stuff. I'm all about that. But it's definitely showing that not quite many people in the modern gaming culture are, which is interesting. I wouldn't necessarily have expected Red Dead to be the game to make that cutoff, but it's doing a lot of really unique and interesting things. It very much feels like, I mean, I might get some fire for this, it feels like the Breath of the Wild of Rockstar games. Which is, like, because there's just so many similarities in how, like, vivid the world is and how much you can do and how open it is. Although there's a lot more you can do at any given time in Red Dead than you can in Breath of the Wild. It's a similar approach, I would say, at the very least. And it's been interesting to see everybody's commentary and to be coming back into it and really experiencing it again myself. But it's... yeah, I mean, I don't know what your take is on all the kind of the divisiveness and, like, people's opinions and people really upset with people claiming that kind of Rockstar makes really outdated games and their game style in general is outdated, which is a weird argument to me because, if anything, Red Dead, everything about it seems entirely purposeful, even in how slow the gameplay is. And it makes me wonder, like, if we're playing the same game sometimes. But, I don't know, what are your thoughts on all that?
Okay, so, you know, like I was saying, Red Dead's on my list as well. It's my number 2, because I put mine in order. It's a slice of life game. I feel like a cowboy when I play a game, and to have people be like, oh, it's too slow. Oh, I don't want to deal with all this stuff. Oh, people are saying it's outdated. It's like if you were to take Breath of the Wild and The Witcher 3 and combine them into one game and set it in cowboy times. That is what Red Dead Redemption 2 is. Because you have, like, the quest and the random stuff and the living, vibrant world of The Witcher 3 combined with this free, do whatever the hell you really want to do of Breath of the Wild, and it just makes an amazing game. And I see a lot of people being like, oh, it's slow and oh, it's boring, from, like, the younger crowd, like people in their early 20s, it seems like, or younger. And people, like, more our age have been like, oh, it's a great game, it's a great game. But I've not heard anybody say it's dated.
Well, not necessarily that it's dated, but that specifically, like, the games that they make are, the way their approach to game making and game mechanics is dated, which I guess that's not too different.
nothing feels... Red Dead feels like the most modern game I've played this year.
That's the thing. It feels like the most living, breathing environment we've gotten all year, which is really saying something. And I guess people just really don't. It's hard, and these are just like a bunch of arguments I'm seeing all over the place that I'm trying to sum up because I don't necessarily agree with all of them. I've just seen a lot of really interesting commentary for people about this game who really don't seem to like it. And it's unfortunate they don't, because I think it does some really cool things, but I don't know. Just, I'm having a lot of fun with it, but again, I'm just the kind of person to really take those kinds of games in, and I'm all about that. And I wonder if a lot of those types of people are just like achievement hunter types of people who just want a game that's going to constantly be throwing like set pieces and level ups and new equipment and stuff at them just like in a continuous Skinner box loop, which is basically what Assassin's Creed Odyssey felt like. Like, it's not a bad game, it's just definitely geared to be as addictive as possible rather than necessarily having as much meat as you might like. The story is great. Everything else is a bit questionable. But I think it's still a fantastic game because of the story and because of the world. It's just that what they give to you to do is kind of bland. No, Assassin's Creed Odyssey.
I thought we were talking Red Dead now.
Well, I was just saying in comparison, because those are the two biggest open world games I can think of today that have come out this year, and just like how I viewed them.
And Spider-Man.
And Spider-Man. Is Spider-Man on your list? Because it's not on mine, I'm sorry to say.
Okay, if we're done talking about Red Dead, I'll go to my bottom game, which is Spider-Man.
Well, is there anything else you wanted to say about Red Dead? I was just saying in comparison to some of the other stuff out there.
I think in comparison to some of the other stuff out there, like, Spider-Man feels small, the world feels small in comparison.
Yeah.
And Assassin's Creed is just... It's ring the bell so that you get satisfaction super quick. Whereas Red Dead is, here is this toy box, make your own stories and your own fun, and also we have a story here that you can also enjoy. So here's the characters we made, here's the toy box full of these characters. Go have fun or play our story. It's up to you.
Yeah, exactly. So it's a much more deeper and richer experience, but it can take time and effort to really get into it and to really see a lot of that meat, I think. And I think people maybe just aren't necessarily as keen to do that, which is unfortunate, because it does some amazing things.
Like, I want to play the story, but I'm having more fun not playing the story, and I think that's a problem for a lot of people.
Okay.
Is, like, the story is kind of slow, but there's a lot of other stuff you can do so that the game isn't slow. Go hunt some legendary animals. Go find side quests. There's, like, side quests that pop up all the time. Just go explore the map.
Yeah, and I've actually heard really, really great things about the story, actually, which is why I've been... Once you get past Chapter 2. Well... That's what I'm hoping for, if I can pull myself away from doing whatever.
I want to get back to it, but I'm so, I'm when I play Red Dead, I need my wife not to be around, and so that I'm not being distracted by her, and I need, 7 to 12 hours to just sit there and play, because I don't ever want to stop.
Yeah. Have you explored most of the map already?
About 95% of it.
Oh, wow, okay. It pretty much leaves it all the way open at the very beginning, right?
For the most part. You can even go to Blackwater if you really want to in Chapter 1.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, maybe I want to do that. We'll see.
Not Chapter 1, Chapter 2. Chapter 1 is the tiny snowed-in place. Chapter 2, you can go to Blackwater if you want. There's a side quest that brings you close to Blackwater. And you can see the town. And if you really want to, you can ride back over there and ride into Blackwater.
Interesting. Okay.
You'll die instantly, but you can go there. It's not locked.
Okay, that's good to know. I'll keep that in mind.
All right, my number 5 game is Spider-Man.
Yes.
And I was humming and hawing because it was between Spider-Man and Far Cry 5, and I wasn't sure which one was going to make my list.
Really?
Yeah, because they're both open world games, but they're completely different.
They are. They are completely different.
But I think I had more fun with Far Cry, but objectively, I can say Spider-Man is the better game.
Spider-Man is very, very polished in a lot of ways.
Right.
It's very solid.
And the story's better in Spider-Man?
Yeah, okay.
So, Spider-Man is a good game that, like the Far Cry, like Far Cry 5, also, after you get past, like, the novelty of the handful of things you can do in the open world, gets very boring.
Yeah.
But Spider-Man controls like Spider-Man.
Spider-Man controls like Spider-Man.
And the combat is amazing, and the story's really good at the end, and it's just an overall good game with really terrible MJ and Miles Morales sections.
I didn't think they were that bad, but I can see how someone might not like them.
Because, okay, when I play a Spider-Man game, I want to play as Spider-Man. I don't want to play as Mary Jane Watson. I don't want to play as Miles Morales.
You don't want to play as Miles Morales?
Unless he's Spider-Man, then I'll play as Miles.
Okay, fair enough. I was really expecting that actually when he showed up in the game, and it was just kind of a wins Miles Morales as Spider-Man kind of thing.
At the very end.
I know, at the very end of the game. For anyone who has it.
I'm hoping that they're setting it up to kill Peter in the next game.
Just so that he can be the main character?
Just so that Miles can be the main character. Miles is a better Spider-Man, objectively, than Peter is.
Interesting. I haven't really read the comics too much, but I wasn't sure how people were on the split between. I don't know which one is necessarily better as far as the comics go.
Well, my problem with Peter is, like, we've had Peter Parker for years and years and years, and we've now had 3 different actors portray him in movies within the past 15 years.
Yes.
And it's like, let's give somebody else a try. Like, I was really hoping that they would have, like, since they're not following any of they're not following the movies, and they're not really following any of the comic books for the Spider-Man video game, I was hoping that that's who we were going to be. And then it was like, oh, Peter Parker. It's like, God damn it, Peter Parker again? Like, Peter's not bad, it's just...
No, I think he's still very much... Yeah, I mean, I think he's still very much seen as the Spider-Man in most mainstream media, aside from, the comic scene, where things have been changing for a long time. I think people still identify with him as the Spider-Man, which makes sense to me why they would have chosen him. Even if I think it would be more interesting to see someone like Miles Morales as the head. But we'll see. I think they're definitely pushing towards that for the next game, and kind of testing the waters a bit. So I guess we'll see.
You've played Spider-Man as well. Do you have anything else to add? Because there's not much I really want to say about Spider-Man.
Yeah, and that's the thing, and that was one of the reasons why, as much as I enjoyed it, I wouldn't consider it one of my favorite games of the year, which is why it's not on my list. I thought the story was really good. I didn't really mind the sneaking sections too much. I thought the mechanics were really good as far as the actual web slinging. My problem was that at the end of the day, that's basically all the game was the web swinging. Because it doesn't do anything new in any other aspect of the game. It's using, it basically has open world mechanics that are 5 to 10 years old in terms of, how things function. And I think it's easier to overlook that because there's literally just not as much to do, and it's a much more confined space. It's like a miniature game compared to something like Odyssey or some of the other games we tend to get these days that are open world. It's just a smaller version of that. But, like, because it was so dated in those aspects and because it was, like, it just didn't really do anything else new, I got tired of it really quick. Like, I smashed through it in a couple days, and then I was done. And I haven't picked it up since. Like, I don't have any interest in it. It just didn't really catch me, even if the story was good enough that it actually kind of took me away from doing open-world things and made me focus on the story, which is something not many games do, honestly. I'm someone who really likes to dig into all the stuff you can do. But because that was so lacking, it just felt like such a not amazing game to me. I'd still give it like an 8 out of 10, but it's not like on my list, as I mentioned. It didn't blow me away in the same way people did. And I think a lot of that is just because people are so damn happy to finally have a good Spider-Man game again, which is fine, and I can appreciate it for that, but it's just not like what I might have wanted from a game in general, I guess, if that makes sense.
Understandable. All right, what's your next game you want to talk about?
My next game, do you want to, since I'm making so many comparisons already, you want to jump into Assassin's Creed Odyssey? How much have you played of it?
On my list.
Yeah. How deep into it are you?
Like 6 hours.
Okay. That's you're just getting started, but you're going.
Not terribly far into it, sadly. I wish I was further into it, but after the last podcast, we started playing Bloodborne. I played and finally beat Bloodborne, and now I'm on like a Dark Souls kick,
which is good.
That's what that fucking game does. So I'm playing Dark Souls on the Switch now because I picked it up yesterday for $40.
Nice. Yeah. But how is it so far? And just so people are aware, Assassin's Creed Odyssey, you can beat it in about 50 to 70 hours if you're like sprinting. It takes you at least 120 to do everything if you're going to do that. Like, it's a very big game.
I'm doing a lot of the side stuff. I'm not really focusing on the main story. And that's because I like the side stuff. But it's a good contrast. It was a good contrast to Red Dead, because with Red Dead, when I started being, like, getting a little done with the nuances of the life simulator, I'd just switch over to Odyssey and be like, okay, thank you for my Pavlovian bell ringing. Thank you for my Pavlovian bell ringing. Thank you for my... Yep, I did good. I get a new thing.
That's right. You push those meters, you fill up those meters, you get those numbers and bump them up. You just push the numbers up continuously and you just get that dopamine hit. That's how it works. And I did really like Odyssey, and I mean, we talked a lot about that too, like when I was first playing it. It just, it's pretty on par with Origins, as we talked last time. It does some things better, it does some things worse, but it's a much larger world, and the world itself is really cool, even if they didn't give you as much to do this time around. But it's definitely Assassin's Creed coming back in a big way, which is exciting to see, because I know a lot of people are really down on it for a couple releases. But I sunk 120 hours into the game. What can I say? It's just that enjoyable on a certain level, at least. And the story's legitimately good. I know you're not super deep into it, but it is a really good story, and it gets into some really interesting lore. I mean, even all the side quests are really well written. Some of them are really dark and really fucked up, but they're all really funny, even if they're totally ridiculous. So I guess they're not necessarily the best written, but they're incredibly entertaining, which is fine. It really keeps you going when you want something different from the main story. It's nice. It's a nice combination of stuff. But
I'm having fun with it.
You're going to be having fun with it for a while, I'm sure. I'm very sure. But what else we got? What do you got on your list besides that? What do you got next?
So we talked about Spider-Man. Then we talked about Assassin's Creed. We talked about Red Dead already. Okay. Not my number one game, but almost my number one game is a game called Celeste.
Oh, we've heard a lot about Celeste. Not on this cast, but just in general.
Celeste is a fucking amazing game, and probably one of the best games I've played in a very long time. It's got a good story, it's got great gameplay, it's got a great message, it's just amazing. It's just one of those things where it's tight platforming with a good story that you want to see to the end that tackles something that not everybody deals with, but a lot of people deal with and see it as a stigma, like the main character does at the beginning of Celeste, and come to realize that it's not such a stigma and you shouldn't really bury this thing down as much as people do. It's amazing. I love Celeste. It's an amazing game.
No, it sounds like it. It sounds like you had a lot of fun with it.
Have you played Celeste?
I have not. I think it's free on PS Plus, actually, now that I think about it. I think it did recently become free. I'll have to double check on that. I know it was on a lot of people's lists, and it's won a fair amount of Game of the Year awards already. Just for how good of a game it is. So I'll definitely have to look into it at some point soon. It's still on my radar. I just have a lot of other things vying for my attention. Yeah, and that's kind of why I definitely will try to make time for it when I can. It's not that I've ignored it necessarily. There's just been a lot of other things going on, and it looks like a really cool game. There's been a lot of really great indie games this year, honestly. And I like that Celeste sounds like such a good game. I just wish that some of the other ones got as much attention, but, that's fine. That's kind of how it is.
Like The Messenger. Okay, just to shout out. Let's just stop and shout out some other great indie games this year. There's The Messenger.
There's The Messenger,
which is phenomenal.
It feels very much like a Shovel Knight kind of game in terms of old school mechanics reinvented for a modern template, which is amazing. It does a really great job.
What Shovel Knight did for what Shovel Knight did to Super Mario with modernizing Super Mario 3, The Messenger does for Ninja Gaiden.
Yes. Yeah, I would definitely agree with that.
There's Guacamelee 2 came out this year, which is fantastic. I'm having a lot of fun with it.
I still haven't even played that. It looks great. I need to look at that at some point. I loved the first one.
The day that Guacamelee came out on Switch, they fucked up the price of it for 12 minutes, and it was $2 on the App Store, on the Switch store.
And you ended up grabbing it?
And I grabbed it for $2.
That's awesome.
So I think I texted you about it, and I was like, "Grab it! It's like $2 right now. Go grab it." Dead Cells was a great game. I played that on the Switch this year.
Yeah, Dead Cells is getting a lot of attention too, and it looks really good. I haven't played that one either, but
that's like Contra meets Metroid. But it's also a roguelike.
Yeah, I've heard it's kind of like, if anything, it's like a 2D Dark Souls Metroidvania mashup kind of thing.
Yeah.
But that's also roguelike.
Yes. It's good. You know me, I like roguelikes.
Yeah. Yeah, you love your roguelikes.
Nothing has beaten Rogue Legacy though. Below came out this year. That I haven't gotten to play that, but I've heard good things.
I have heard mixed things, but it looks interesting. It looks very different. Apparently, one of the big problems with the game is that there is, in fact, permadeath. So, you fuck up, you start the whole campaign over again.
In Below. Okay.
Yeah, which is not ideal, but I guess I'd have to play the game to really see how much it hurts it or not. But I know a lot of people are really upset about that, because it can be apparently a very difficult game.
Was whatchamacallit this year?
Hollow Knight?
No. Hollow Knight was also this year, which is very good.
Hollow Knight made it to Switch and PS4 this year? I think it was on PC 2 years ago. It just took a while for some reason to transfer. But a lot of people played it for the first time this year, from what I can tell.
Was Asura's this year?
Was what?
The game with the chick who's going crazy.
Hellblade, Senua's Sacrifice?
Senua, yes.
No, that was last year. That won a ton of awards for being really unique and creative. That's another game I hadn't actually gotten a chance to play yet that looked really good and apparently is fantastic.
It is fantastic. That's all I really know of this year. Any other indie games that you want to shout out?
Yeah, well, the other big one, which is actually on my list, which just barely beat out The Messenger, is a game called Iconoclasts, which I don't know if too many people have heard much about it, but it's gotten some attention from certain sites just for how unique of a game it is. I think it might have been even free on PS Plus at one point. I'm trying to remember. But it's made by this guy who's basically just a one-man team who makes these kind of 2D platforming indie games, and he apparently was working on this for like 5 or 6 years. It's kind of like a Metroidvania game. It's hard to explain it and really do justice to just how complicated and crazy this game gets the deeper you go into it. Because it starts out as a Metroidvania-style game where you get kind of different equipment and stuff to solve certain puzzles, but you're also moving between different parts of a massive world, and you're getting different, like, equipment loadouts and actual stats and things you can attach to your character according to your playstyle. Every single boss, and I'm not even joking, every single boss introduces 2 or 3 entirely new mechanics into the game just for that fight, which are never seen again. Like, it's insane how much depth there is to each fight and how complicated some of the game gets. It has one of the craziest stories I've seen in a long time, and it completely blindsides you in the second half because it's very bright and colorful in kind of an indie kind of retro style.
Yeah, this looks really sexy.
It gets shockingly brutal and dark in the second half. Yeah, I got it on the Switch. I played through it on the Switch. It's definitely worth playing, and it deals with some really, really complicated and fucked up themes towards the end, just when it starts to get really intense. It just does so many crazy things I don't see in very many games in terms of its story and what it's willing to put the player through, and in terms of like how creative it's willing to get with its mechanics and with its gameplay continuously. Like far more than I've ever seen any other game in how many things it starts to throw at you.
I definitely want to play this game. I'm looking at screenshots of it. I'm surprised that I haven't heard of this game sooner.
It came out, I want to say either late last year or really early this year. And it just
I'm looking at it. It came out on January 2nd of 2018 on PC and everything, and then every place else it came out in August.
Yes.
Or January 23rd.
It took a little while to move over to some of the other consoles. And this game is something I would honestly, I was debating for a long time between whether I wanted to put The Messenger or whether I wanted to put this on my top 5.
Okay.
But at the end of the day, the story in this is just way more impactful and has stuck with me for a very long time. In terms of what it puts you through and in terms of the things that happen to your characters. It's a very brutal and timely game in some of the things it's willing to deal with and some of the complicated concepts it's willing to throw at you.
All right, what's your next game? Because I only have one game left, and I know it's also on your list because we have 3 identical games.
Yes, we can go right for that one. I mean, the other one was obviously Iconoclast.
Let's take that one for last.
So this is also going to be pretty controversial, I know, for some people.
Because if you say the game that you had said in our text message, this podcast is over.
No, I have to do it. Now I have to commit to it. And this is going to sound super weird because it was a game that released really early in the year and was horribly, frighteningly broken. And I think it was broken for a very long time.
6 months.
And I just managed to grab it on Thanksgiving for like the flash sale that PSN had going on for like $30.
You paid too much for this game.
Apparently, allegedly, and It's still on my...
Don't say it. Don't say it.
It's on my list because despite that fact, the actual end result, and it's shitty that it's, I'm not gonna lie, like it's totally shitty that it took the actual developer a year to make the game work and function, because the end result is like amazing in how complex and deep it is, where it just pisses me off that like, it's never going to get very much attention. It's always going to be a very niche game. It
got a ton of attention when it came out.
Because it was so broken. It was not good attention, and the developers.
It got good attention too. That's the reason I bought it.
It got a lot of mixed attention, I think, when it came out. Broken.
They didn't fix this game until the update on November 13th, just to let everybody know before.
It was a very ambitious game, which is why I can see why it was kickstarted. And they just pushed it out the door without polish because they wanted to get paychecks in the mail rather than try to wait a few more months.
And then rather than fix the game, they added new features to it.
Yeah, those are free though. They released expansions that were free.
I don't care that they were free. They should have fixed the game before making the fucking expansion.
So it's fixed now, and it's really fun. And I had so much fun with it, it's ridiculous. Cause
you had more fun with this game than you did The Messenger. That's scary.
The Messenger was a lot of fun. But just the stupid, ridiculous detail of role-playing that this game is willing to put you through is astounding and incredible. And it's also hysterically funny as you're playing the game. It's a little game called Kingdom Come Deliverance.
Oh, okay, guys, that's the end of the podcast. Have a good night. No.
You know, I know some people really hate this game, and I get it. Like, just hearing...
I'm one of them. I hate this game with a fiery fucking passion.
Just hearing how the game was when it first came out and playing it today is ridiculous in terms of how different it feels. Not that it's perfect. It still has some occasional glitches here and there, but, like, no more than your common Ubisoft game.
No, the last time I played this game was right as I was getting sick, and it was a broken hellscape of a mess.
Yeah, it sounds like it was.
I was texting you about the broken hellscape of a mess this game was.
I remember, and I wasn't sure if you ended up finishing it or not, or if you just like gave.
I fucking finished it. I finished that fucking game.
Despite how broken it was.
Because it was so broken, which is why I hate the fucking game. Because I hear from you and other people that it's a fantastic game, like, not like an amazing, oh my god, this is the best game I've ever played game, but it's a better game than it was when I played it back in March.
Yeah. And that is kind of frightening to me, that a game could have this trajectory, but it's hard to not have fun with the end result, at least for me. I'm only seeing it now, though. I'm only seeing it 12 months later when it is fixed.
A good comparison to this game is?
What?
No Man's Sky.
Ooh, you know, that's not wrong. Except No Man's Sky wasn't broken, it was just not very full of things to do.
Supposedly, like, No Man's Sky is fucking sweet as hell right now.
Oh, yeah. No, I mean, I was having a lot of fun with the game recently, and then they pushed out the quote-unquote next update. Like, that's the name of the update, was the next update. And it completely transformed the entire game to the point that I don't even know what I'm doing anymore. Not that I wasn't having fun before, even, because they, like, fixed a lot of it, and they added a ton of different cool stuff. And it was a totally different, it felt the same, it was just way richer. And now it's an entirely different game, and I'm having trouble going back to it because I'm, like, trying to relearn the systems.
Well, I've heard that Kingdom Come is also a completely different game than it was when it first came out.
Yes. Yes, it is.
Kingdom Come is a completely different game, and No Man's Sky is a completely different game, and I hate both of them.
And that's fair. That's fair, given your experience with this game.
I spent $60 on Kingdom Come Deliverance.
Yeah, I mean, your money helped them to fix it, not that necessarily means a lot to you now.
That's cool. Maybe they'll give me a blowjob, too.
Maybe, you know?
I don't know. I'm so mad that this is on your list, but it's okay.
It's so fun.
I'm legitimately mad that this game is on your list. Like, legit mad.
Yeah.
Like, this isn't for show, guys. I am legitimately, like, pissed off that we have to talk about this goddamn game. It makes good sense on this podcast.
If you want an open-world, medieval-style game that is shockingly detailed in its realism to the point of ridiculousness in terms of, like, your character needing to sleep and eat and needing to keep yourself clean and needing to do all that stuff while you're, like, doing quests and stuff and having no magic systems, it's really something. Like, it's a very unique game.
And
but it's a
historically accurate story, which is the reason that I think it's good. I want to see if it stayed historically accurate or not, and it did.
But it is a game that you really got to love role-playing, I think, to enjoy this game. I do, which is why I was having so much ridiculous fun with it, because I wasn't... It's
digital LARPing, guys. It is digital LARPing.
Yeah, and that's kind of the last I'll say of it, just because... so this is a game where... It's kind of, the gameplay style is similar to something like Morrowind or Oblivion, where you have this massive open world and you can run around and do whatever, but it's incredibly scaled back because it takes place in Bohemia in 1504, and you are not the hero. You are not the hero in the story at all. You are a peasant. And basically, you're just trying to survive the civil war that your country is falling into, and maybe sort of almost kind of raise your status, but mostly just not get killed. And the entire story is built around that, not like just trying to survive in this really fucked up medieval world, which makes it super fascinating and super entertaining. But it's like it's not an easy game. It's not a power fantasy game. It isn't anything but that.
And you're not a peasant in that game. You are the son of a sword maker.
Yes, you're the son of a blacksmith. You're a couple steps above, and you become a squire because you're lucky as fuck. And then maybe you do more than
everybody
that.
dies. And then the game starts, and that's like 4 hours into the game.
Yeah.
And then you go to the first town, and you're still in tutorials. And then 8 hours later, you go to the second town, and now the game really starts. You're welcome.
It does have a very slow lead-in, too. I will say that much. But it's a fun game.
Let's talk about a good game now. Let's talk about a good game now. I want to talk about a good game now.
Let's talk about a good game now. Let's talk about a game you want to talk about. The best game of the year. Is this your number one?
This is my number one.
Yeah?
Yeah. And that's God of War, because it's just fucking amazing.
That's cool. God of War's fun. God of War is a very special game, and it's one we didn't get to talk about a lot when it came out, because Chris was just getting sick. I think we've talked about it a little bit since then. Yeah. It's very unique in what it does. It's shockingly unique in that it came from the game series that it did, and no one in a million years, especially not me, would have expected this game to come out of the God of War franchise. I hated the third one. I thought it was awful. Like, I liked the mechanics, but I thought the story was just atrocious, and I thought the whole thing was like a hyper-violent fantasy that was, like, too much for me, and I just didn't enjoy it, because I thought it was dumb. But this is anything but that, so it feels really weird to be giving it this kind of praise.
I like God of War 3, but the new God of War is just so fucking good. It's so good. It's so much like Kratos. They somehow are able to take an existing character and not change him completely, and make him into, like, a character who had one emotion before, and make him into this compelling character that you now care about. Like, you didn't really care about Kratos in God of War 1. You didn't really care about Kratos in God of War 2. You definitely didn't care about Kratos in God of War 3.
No, it's just crazy revenge fantasy.
But you care about Kratos in God of War 2, 2018.
Yeah, and they've completely revamped this world, and not this world, but just the gameplay and everything. They pulled in mechanics from so many different types of games I can't even count. They've somehow made them kind of merge together into this cohesive story, and it's far more cohesive in its gameplay element and it's how everything plays together to one purpose than almost any game I can think of. It's ridiculous to have, open world it's not quite open world, but, to have exploration and quests and different areas you can go to and not have that crazy dissonance that you have in games like The Witcher, which, I love The Witcher. But this is, one of the few problems I have with it, where it's we gotta go to this place and we gotta do this thing because it's really dramatic tension. And then you just run around and you do other shit for 3 hours because you just want to do side quests. Whereas this game kind of plays into that. All the side quests and everything you're doing is a pivotal part of the story and is important to an extent to what you're already doing. And it all kind of fits together in a weird way, but it's the cohesion of all these totally different mechanical and narrative aspects, as I mentioned, is just something that I don't know if anybody else has really pulled off to this extent. And it's just amazing to see.
See, I like the fact that when you don't have a time crunch in the God of War game, it is kind of open world exploration. But the minute the time, this is the urgent thing that needs to happen right now, you don't get. It's no longer open. It's very linear.
Yes.
And then once the time limit has passed, you then get to come back to the open world and explore more. And it's very interesting. There's a part where Atreus gets sick. I keep wanting to call him Atreus. Atreus gets sick. And you have to go and do that right now. You can't explore and do all this other stuff. You have to go right now and do this thing. And it's just so good. And what my favorite part about it is it feels like a different game completely than the others in the series. But at the same time, they don't change. It doesn't feel like it still feels like Kratos. It still feels like that world. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's different and it's more refined and it's amazing. And the fact that they were able to take this revenge, angry, blood game and morph it into this father-son bonding, finding yourself and who you are compared to everything else that's happening in the world. It's just amazing. And the twists and the turns in the game, it is as close to a perfect game as I played this year.
Okay. It's fair. Good comment.
I don't know what else to say about it besides it is the closest game I played to a perfect game this year.
No, that's fair. It has a lot going for it. It's a really amazing experience. I kind of want to go back to it already because it's been a little while, just to go through it again. But it's a system seller. This is the thing. This is the kind of game you buy your PS4 for. This is a Bloodborne kind of thing where it's worth it to having the system just to be able to play this game.
Right.
Like Breath of the Wild or just that same level. And
how about an Xbox One game? Come on, give me an Xbox One game that's the
Halo Master Chief Collection if it wasn't broken.
How about Sunset Overdrive?
That's fair. It sounds really good. I wasn't sure if it was a system seller, but I haven't played it, so I don't know.
The best game I played on the Xbox One, and I played a lot of Xbox One exclusives.
Okay, that's fair enough.
But yeah, that's it. That's God of War is like that. We still have some time. Do you want to talk about movies or TV?
Let's talk about some movies this year. There were a lot of really big comic book and geek movies this year that we can talk about, actually, now that I think about it.
That's most of my list.
I didn't see all of them, but I did see a fair amount. And there were some good movies this year. There was some great stuff.
Did you see Infinity War?
I did see Infinity War.
It's probably, in my opinion, Marvel's best movie. We'll go through these quick.
Yeah. It was surprisingly good. I enjoyed it, actually.
That's the last movie I saw in theaters.
The last movie I saw in theaters was over the summer, and I'm pretty sure it was Mandy. Did you ever hear about that movie or end up seeing it?
I've heard of it. I have not seen it.
It's I guess it's the new cult classic. It's it's really hard to describe this movie because it's really something unique. It's like a grindhouse revenge thriller mashed up with an art house film that's entirely seen through the lens of like 1980s fantasy, if it were also horror and with a doom metal soundtrack. Like, it's the most I can say about this film, like the number one thing I can say is that visually it is incredibly striking at every turn, and it's just totally batshit in every aspect of its story, and it's just very unique.
Okay, we're talking movies, Marvel geeky movies. Did you see Black Panther?
I have not. I do need to see Black Panther at some point, just to be up with all the hype. Although that was back in February. You saw it, right?
Yes, I've seen Black Panther. It's on Netflix. Of course, I've seen Black Panther.
Yeah, and that was what I was waiting for. Actually, I just haven't taken the time to actually see it. What did you think about Black Panther? I think we talked about this earlier in the year too.
Extremely overrated.
Extremely overrated. Okay. Okay.
The CG is bad, and the story is not great, and it's bad when a superhero movie, the best part about it are the villains and the secondary characters, and not the superhero.
Yeah. Okay. And then, is that what you felt about this film?
Yeah, like Michael B. What did you hear after Black Panther came out? You heard about people talking about Michael B. Jordan.
People talking about Michael B. Jordan. I heard a lot of people really excited just because it was such an African American / black project in terms of everybody who was involved with it, and I know it was a really cool thing for a lot of people. I heard it was an interesting approach to like a non-colonialized African country, which people were super interested in too, because that's basically what that is, right? The country that he's a part of.
Super highly advanced technologically. That's all you need to know.
Yes, and doesn't bear the marks of like colonialism that most of European colonialism that most of Africa does.
There's marks of it.
Yeah.
There's marks of it because that is just what modern society is.
Yeah.
So like they have like there's trains and shit, and
yeah.
Like there is very much like. In the movie, nobody's ever been. No Europeans have touched Wakanda, and they don't export any of their shit out to the world. But like, there are certain European conventions and stuff that happen that are still there in the movie. But my thing with the movie is Killmonger, who's Michael B. Jordan's character, is like probably the best part. Black Panther's sister is fucking awesome, and Lupita, I can never say her last name, and I always feel very bad.
Lupita Nyong'o?
Yeah, Lupita Nyong'o, who plays, fucking...
His sister?
Oh my God, Michonne on The Walking Dead.
Oh, she does, doesn't she?
Yeah, that's not his sister, that's his bodyguard.
Okay. I haven't seen the movie.
They're like the best part of the movies.
Okay.
But Black Panther, like Chadwick Boseman's is a good actor.
Yeah.
Not Lupita Nyong'o. Danny Guerrero is who I was thinking of. I'm sorry.
Danny Guerrero?
Guerrera, Gurira. That's who played the Okyo or OK or whatever the.
Is he the guy who was in?
She.
Oh, she. Okay.
She's the bodyguard. Lupita Nyong'o plays his love interest, and then Letitia Wright plays Shuri, who's his sister.
Yeah, and I heard the guy from Get Out was in there too, right?
He is. Yes, the guy from Get Out is also there. But I don't think he plays a huge role. He's one of the other, there's a bunch of tribes that make up, Wakanda, and he's the leader of one of the other tribes. So, I don't know. Black Panther. I like Black Panther, but it wasn't the best movie. There was Deadpool 2. Did you see that?
I guess I did see Deadpool 2. I barely remember it now. It was entertaining.
I liked Deadpool 2. It wasn't as good as Deadpool 1, but...
Yeah, I liked it. I mean, I thought it was a really good movie. I wasn't in love with it like a lot of people were this one or the first one, but I enjoyed it.
Oh, I'm in love with both of them, but... Yeah, I can agree that this one wasn't as good as the first one.
Okay. Fair enough.
Did you see Ant-Man and the Wasp?
I did not, actually. I think I meant to at one point, but I didn't end up taking the time to go see it. I haven't seen as many movies here in Austin as I used to in San Francisco. It's just a little trickier to get to the theater. But, no, that was one...
was also very good.
That's what I heard, and I was curious about it, because I remember really, really liking the first Ant-Man, like, surprisingly so. I just didn't get a chance to go see the second one. But I'd heard some good things, and I did want to go see that, too, at some point.
You need to see Ant-Man and the Wasp before you see Endgame. I will tell you that.
Okay. Do I need to see it before I see Captain Marvel?
I don't know, because Captain Marvel takes place in the 80s.
Oh, that's right. Okay. Totally different.
Right. I'm probably going to need to see Captain Marvel before I see Endgame, too. But it seems like everything that came after Infinity War seems like they're going to be needed to see Endgame. Like, I think that Paul Rudd and Ant-Man are going to play a huge part in how they get everything back to normal in Endgame.
Yeah, well, I know the big teaser in the Avengers Endgame trailer, which is, I'm going to be honest, I really don't like that title, but I'll let it slide for now. I'm just going to refer to it as Avengers as Infinity War 2. Yeah, just because of the teaser during the trailer where he shows up, even though I can't remember if he died or not at the very end of Infinity War. You
don't see him. He is not in Infinity War at all.
That's right. Okay. I forgot about that.
The after credit sequence of Ant-Man and the Wasp shows you what happened during the snap.
Okay. Okay, so that's kind of important.
It's very important. That's the most important thing.
Okay, I'll try to see that just for the sake of getting ready for Endgame.
Is it on Netflix?
It might be, or maybe Amazon Prime. I'll need to double check. It might have. I thought Black Panther was going to be the last movie to drop on Netflix before they officially moved to.
Or Infinity War just hit Netflix.
Oh really? I thought they were getting ready to purge everything because Disney's going to launch its own service soon.
They're not doing that, and you're not going to see all of them leave until Disney service is launched.
Okay, that's fair then.
I guarantee it.
Yeah, I'll keep that in mind then. That's cool.
The last superhero movie that came out.
Oh yeah, you know what? I did see Incredibles 2.
How was it? I haven't seen it. The only one I haven't seen, besides Aquaman.
Incredibles 2 is really good. I'd even maybe say it's a great film. It's not as good as the first one. The first one had so much more going for it in terms of what it was attempting to do, whereas this one in some ways feel like they were just trying to make a sequel for the sake of a sequel. Which is okay, like it's still a very entertaining film because Pixar still has very entertaining writers. But, like, at the end of the day, everything in Incredibles 1 is incredibly well scripted and written and flows together, whereas half of the second one kind of feels like it was unnecessary, but they put it in because it's entertaining. Like, there are total random asides throughout most of the film that have nothing to do with the main story or really add anything to it. They're just there because they're funny. Like little side plots here and there that the film will just deviate into at random. So it's good, and it's entertaining. Incredibles was super indicative of, like, Pixar during their heyday, and it bears a lot of those marks. I would say Pixar has been going downhill for a little while, and this film is a lot more indicative of that, even if it's still a great movie, if that makes sense.
You think Pixar's going downhill?
I think they've been going downhill for a few years. I mean, they're still like up there in terms of movie making, but like, I think they've been faltering for a little while. Inside Out was good. Last Dinosaur was not good. The Cars movies are not great, except for maybe the first one. But I feel like great. Coco was great. Coco, was that Pixar or was that just Disney?
No, that was Pixar.
Because, I mean, a lot of it is just John Lasseter and his control over, like, Disney's entire kind of animation studio these days. And it's just, well, not anymore. Not since the stuff that came out. But he had a very specific and very particular way of writing stories, which was really unique and different when he first started doing it, but I feel like is really starting to wear on Disney now, because that's how every single story they make is. And so some movies are still great with it. Some are not as good, and some kind of, like, falter because of their need to try to, like, fit it into this particular mold that he gave them. Not that Pixar is, like, bad these days, but you can definitely tell they've been up and down lately. Where it used to be, like, a big event when
up and down.
I don't know if I would say to the same extent that they are these days.
Like, you had The Incredibles, and then Ratatouille's not a great movie.
I really like Ratatouille, but I know not as many other people like Ratatouille.
Terrible. Brave's not a great movie. Monsters University wasn't great.
Yeah. I mean, so we could say they went downhill before the past few years if you want to make that argument too. Because when was Monsters University? That was like 4 or 5 years ago?
5 years ago.
Yeah.
And then Inside Out.
Yeah. Inside Out was good.
And then The Good Dinosaur, which wasn't great, but Finding Dory was good. Cars 3 was terrible. Was actually good, actually. Cars 3 was good.
I did not see Finding Dory, actually.
And then The Incredibles 2.
And The Incredibles 2, which is pretty good. It's very entertaining. But
are there any other movies you want to shout out? Then one other movie on my list that we did talk about.
No, there's not much I can think of seeing this year. Like, I'm trying to remember. I saw the Death of Stalin back in spring. That movie was incredible. I don't know if anyone here really cares to hear about it, but, like, that's a very artsy film. What movie did you want to talk about?
Probably my favorite movie I saw this year was A Quiet Place.
Okay. I've heard some interesting things about it. I haven't seen it myself, but I think it's on Netflix now.
It's really good.
Okay. Because
really good.
I've heard some people say it's like a really great movie, and other people say it's pretty good, but John Krasinski basically just remade Signs, which is fine. But I don't know. I haven't seen it myself, so I'm still curious.
He didn't remake Signs. They're not afraid of water.
But is it a similar setup kind of thing?
Aliens have taken over Earth already.
Okay.
But they're blind. But they have, like, they're like whatchamacallit from The Last of Us. Clickers. So, like, they hear a noise and they can pinpoint on it, and, like, you're fucking dead within seconds. And it's about John Krasinski and his family surviving in this world.
Okay. And at the end of the movie, they throw water on them?
No.
Okay.
They find something that hurts them, but it's not...
It's not as bad as water?
It's not as bad as water. And one of John Krasinski's kids is deaf, and at the beginning of the movie, one of his kids die.
Because of the monsters?
Because of the monsters.
And then she gets pregnant, and she has to try to give birth.
And she gives birth without any painkillers.
And without any kind of noise. That, ugh. It's bad times.
So, it's a good movie. You should see it.
Okay, I will have to see it. I've heard it does some interesting things horror-wise, and I've been wanting a good horror movie these days.
You should watch Haunting on Hill House.
That's the Netflix series, right?
Yes. If you want horror and you want good horror, you should watch that. Or if you have Hulu, you should watch Castle Rock Season 1.
That's the Stephen King one.
That's the Stephen King one. That is like the X-Files meets Stephen King. It's amazing.
Okay. But I have seen a lot of dorky TV shows this year. I can say that much, if we have time for that.
Yeah, I want to run through TV shows because I've got a list of 5.
Okay, you got a list of your 5 favorites.
5 favorites this year. No particular order.
Okay.
You want them?
Yeah, I mean, what do you got?
I'll run through them. The new Doctor Who is amazing. The female Doctor is great. It's a lot better than Peter Capaldi. I love the new Doctor Who. Westworld Season 2 was also very good. Not as strong as Westworld Season 1, but I like where the story's going, and I'm excited to see a Season 3. Castle Rock Season 1 was fucking phenomenal. Everybody should watch it. It's on Hulu, I believe. It's like Twin Peaks meets The X-Files plus Stephen King stuff. If you are a Stephen King fan, there is a lot of Easter eggs of Stephen King stuff in this fucking show. It's amazing. It's based on his work. It's great. The Chilling Adventures of Sabrina Season 1, it's on Netflix. It is one of the best Netflix originals to come out. It's frightening. It's nothing like the old WB show. It's serious. It's a CW show, though, basically. So everybody is hot and everybody's banging. And the best thing I watched this year was Cobra Kai Season 1 on YouTube. Everybody should watch Cobra Kai Season 1. Fucking... Who would have known 30 years later a sequel to The Karate Kid would be as strong as Cobra Kai was?
I heard Cobra Kai was the big surprise of the year as far as TV shows. That's on YouTube Red, right?
It was. I believe it is all on YouTube Free now. It's the reason I signed up for YouTube Red. Was Cobra Kai.
I was gonna say because they've been really lagging for like really strong shows to keep it going until then, right?
Yeah, they had, because like you got YouTube Music and stuff with it as well. But Cobra Kai is great. It follows the bully from The Karate Kid and what he's doing now, and Daniel-san is in it. It's good. It's a fucking great show. Have you not seen Cobra Kai?
I have not. I mean, I heard some interesting things about it, but I haven't actually seen it myself. You should.
That's something that you should sit down and watch.
Okay. I'll keep that in mind. I had heard some interesting things about it because I heard it was a big surprise for the year, but just didn't end up seeing it myself. I watched a few other things. Most of the year was taken up by me trying to get through Deep Space Nine, admittedly.
You were done with it.
Which I am done with, and which I really enjoyed, and I was very disappointed to actually finish. But
Voyager.
I don't know. I don't know if I can handle not as good as DS9. I'll think about it.
Have you seen any Voyager?
No, that's the thing. I'm just wondering if I want to take that much time for something that's not going to be on that same level, which is why I'm kind of like, eh.
It's not as... I don't know, like... DS9 is not on the same level as TOG.
As TNG?
Yeah.
I think TNG, DS9 is actually, from what I've seen, it sounds like it's pretty... Are you trying to open something? Because that's all I hear.
Yes, I was trying to...
I just hear loud...
2 seconds.
I hear loud noises like you're ruffling popcorn and throwing it all over and... Hey, we good?
Yeah, I wanted to eat a french fry. I'm sorry.
Okay, that's okay. That's okay. That's totally fine.
But DS9 is not as good as The Next Generation.
Actually, from what I've seen on the internet, people are pretty evenly split on that one, as far as whether DS9 is better than TNG. Like, it's pretty even 50-50 as far as what people think is better.
I don't like Cisco as much as I like Picard.
Okay. What don't you like about Cisco particularly?
Well, just like he's not Picard.
He is definitely not Picard.
Like, he's a different... There's times in the early season where he's very much a by-the-rules kind of guy, and then his character kind of changes into a rules breaker later on for no apparent reason.
I mean, I think that's just because he's on a fucking Wild West space station where things may or may not go according to plan, and he has to be... Like, that's a big theme in the story, though, as far as just, like, needing to be malleable in terms of what you'll accept, because there's a lot of gray in this, like, frontier space station in terms of the people they deal with and everything. I was totally fine with that. I think it makes sense with what's going on with the overall show.
Now, what scares you about Voyager?
It doesn't necessarily scare me. I just don't know if it's really going to be worth my time, if it's going to be like 7 episodes of not a great show, which it sounds like people are pretty mixed on it. It sounds like a lot of people really don't like Janeway. I think she's often seen as the worst captain from what I've seen.
No, Enterprise captain is the worst captain.
What about Discovery? Is that captain any good?
I don't know. I haven't seen Discovery.
Discovery sounds really bad.
Yeah.
Just all around. Maybe I should just watch The Orville.
The Orville's amazing.
That's what people have said, which is kind of funny.
Like, I cannot wait for The Orville Season 2, which comes out in a few days.
Is that on Hulu, though, or is that, like, I don't remember.
It's on Fox, but I watched Season 1 on Hulu.
Okay.
The Orville is the most Star Trek of Star Trek shows I've ever watched. That isn't a Star Trek show.
Okay. That's a good one.
Like, it feels very much like the evolution of, like, Star Trek for today's generation, because it's Seth MacFarlane funniness, but still the Star Trek... It's still very Star Trek-y.
Okay.
Like, the shuttles look very... I don't know.
They look very Star Trek-y?
Yeah, the shuttles are no, they're completely not Star Trek-y for a reason, to not be Star Trek.
Oh, jeez.
Like,
okay.
Everything is very deliberately not Star Trek looking, but the story and everything is very like, all the stories and stuff are very Star Trek-y.
Okay.
Like, they have a Klingon-like race.
Okay.
They're all males.
They're all males.
They don't look like Klingons to not look like Klingons. And there's a Romulan who specifically doesn't look like a Romulan. And there's Data who specifically doesn't look like Data.
But he's basically Data.
It is very much The Next Generation with comedy.
Okay. That's interesting. I could potentially get down with that.
And you should watch Voyager just for 7 of 9 and Neelix.
Just for 7 of 9?
And Neelix, yeah.
And Neelix?
Yeah.
Oh, I've heard a lot of really terrible things about that character too. I don't know because I haven't seen it.
He's like broccoli.
He's like broccoli?
Yeah, he's like Lieutenant Broccoli.
Lieutenant Barclay.
Yeah, Lieutenant Broccoli.
I've heard that he was an episode. Yeah, I've heard he's basically the Jar Jar, but they never get rid of him. They just keep pushing him in your face. That's just like what people were saying online. I don't know. I've never actually seen any of these characters, but I've heard 7 of 9 is interesting. I've just heard Janeway is incredibly bipolar because there was a lot of tension in the writing staff in terms of what they wanted her to be, and it affected the whole show, and especially her character.
That's not until way later in the show, though.
Is it? It sounds pretty prevalent for most of it, but I haven't...
No, that's much later in the show.
Okay. I might watch a few episodes here and there.
You know what I would do? If you don't watch the whole thing, just look up like the 5 best episodes and watch just the 5 best episodes. And if you want something that's like Star Trek-y, watch the revamped modern Battlestar Galactica. It is all on Hulu right now.
Yeah, I remember that when it was coming out too, and that was supposed to be a big deal. I think I actually have all of it on my hard drive.
You should watch it. That's really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's about the Cylons and all that stuff.
Yeah.
I've heard apparently a lot of people were arguing online about whether Babylon 5 was better than DS9 because they're both very similar. And I had never thought of watching Babylon 5, but it's interesting to hear that and to hear that all these people are so serious about their sci-fi shows.
Well, as long as you're not watching Atlantis.
Stargate Atlantis?
Yeah. As long as you're not watching Stargate and the Underworld, we're good.
What are your problems with Stargate? Not that
I fucking hate Stargate.
Not that I will.
Fucking dumb.
Not that I will defend it. I knew some people in college who watched Stargate, but I was never that interested. They were super dorky.
I just really don't like Stargate. I don't think it's very good.
Is it like a weird, more fantasy version of Star Trek with like how is it different? Like I don't really know much about Stargate other than the movie. So
I've watched like 4 episodes of Stargate in my life, and I just have a big problem with like the mid 90s, late 90s sci-fi TV show graphics and special effects that are very Sharknado-ish.
Like Odo?
Yeah.
And his transforming?
Yeah.
Oh, Odo.
Like, I just can't get behind that.
Okay. So it has okay. Well, I'll avoid Stargate Atlantis. Not that it was necessarily on the list.
Watch Sliders. Sliders is a better show. Or Quantum Leap. Quantum Leap's even a better show.
I've heard good things about Quantum Leap. What about Farscape? With Kevin Sorbo.
I have not seen Stars. If you're going to watch Kevin Sorbo, watch Kevin Sorbo and Hercules.
I mean, Hercules is a pretty good show, but...
Like, it's not as good as Xena, but it's still good.
It's not as good as Xena. Hot take. Oh.
That's not a hot take. Everybody will agree with you that.
Really?
Hercules is not as good as Xena.
Oh. I haven't delved into that conversation, but I was just trying to wrap my head around all the Star Trek stuff going on, because I pretty much, for anyone who's curious, like I watched TNG, The Next Generation, and DS9, basically because Chris talked me into it, and it was mostly like watching them in a vacuum. So I don't know anything about fan conversations or like what characters are like good and which ones aren't as favored. So I'm just like all these super hot takes people have about which characters they don't like and what shows are terrible and stuff like that. I was surprised to hear people hated Vic Fontaine so much from Deep Space Nine, but I guess I can kind of see that. I don't know what your thoughts on Vic are. I was always very entertained by the Holosuite episodes, but
I will be honest, I've only watched DS9 through once.
Really? Okay.
In all of my Star Trek watching, I've only watched DS9 once. I've watched Voyager once, I've watched Enterprise once, I've watched the original series once.
Okay. You watched TNG multiple times?
I've watched the entire series of The Next Generation no less than 12 times in my life.
Wow. Okay.
I've watched it. If it was shorter, I would watch it even more often.
It's like
The Next Generation.
It's like 11 seasons, isn't it? I'm trying to remember. I remember just being exhausted by the end because there was so much, and it wasn't necessarily as good in the end as it was in some of the middle seasons. It's a great show, like it's fantastic. I just remember some really weird plot lines towards the end, but I enjoyed it.
when Denise Crosby comes back in the towards the end seasons as the Romulan.
When is that? It's already been a few years since I've gone through it.
Like mid-season, that's bad.
When Denise Crosby comes back as the Romulan.
Yes. Where Tasha Yar didn't die in her timeline, and she's like the new big bad before the Borg.
That's right. Okay, yeah, no, I remember that.
It's not an episode. That's for a while. They drop her, and the Borg comes, and she's never heard from again. And then the Borg show up, and then the series gets good again.
Yeah, no, that's right. I remember. I remember her most vividly because she was the one who didn't want to be in the show halfway through the first season and gets killed, so they could write her out. And then for some reason are there only 7 seasons? Oh wow. Okay. It just didn't feel the same with DS9, and I just kind of blasted through it. But, I remember Tasha dying, and then she came back for a couple episodes here and there, and it was super weird.
She comes back as a Romulan.
The Borgs were interesting.
The Borg is like when Huey shows up. When Hugh shows up, I like Hugh. When Picard becomes Locutus, that's really good.
Picard becomes Locutus. Oh, that is a good episode. Or is that 2 or 3? I'm trying to remember.
That is the end of one season, and then imagine watching that live and waiting an entire year to see what happens after Picard has become a Borg.
That's right. That was at the end of a season, and then I immediately jumped into the next episode. Obviously. I do remember that, and I remember really liking it because it's very vivid in my mind because of how ridiculous the whole setup was. Like when he gets turned into a Borg, obviously, and then they manage to kidnap him back, and they have him on the ship, and they can't do anything to him because he's still the captain. So they just kind of let him run around, and he's just like being an asshole to everybody and making really stupid commentary about how nothing they like is meaningful because the Borg is going to take them. And I thought it was hysterically funny, but I mean the whole arc is really good. Everything involving the Borg seems pretty good, from what I remember.
Have you seen? Do you watch the movies?
No, I've thought about it. I know some of them are really good and some are not very good. I haven't dug into them. I know the one with.
By the way, Locutus is season 3, the end of season 3, beginning of season 4. It's the best of both worlds, part 1 and 2.
That's right. And then, so one of the movies involves the Borg Queen. Is that First Contact? No, that's not First Contact. That's
not First Contact.
I don't know which one that is.
It's one of those words. Oh my God.
Generations?
No, Generations is the one with Bane as young Patrick Stewart.
Oh, okay.
Insurrection? No, Nemesis.
No, Nemesis was the one with the weird Picard clone. That was the last clone. That was the last one.
Then it's Insurrection.
Okay. Is that one pretty good? That's what Data when Data gets it on with the Borg Queen, right?
Locutus comes back in Insurrection.
Okay.
First Contact's not bad either. I like First Contact.
I don't know what half of them are about. I remember seeing Nemesis in the theater and thinking it was weird but kind of interesting, but apparently not many people like that movie.
I like Nemesis.
That's like the final send-off for the TNG crew, right? That was like years later.
Fucking Data dies at the end of fucking Nemesis.
Yes, he does. I do remember that.
But then comes back as in a different body because his sacrifice made him.
Yeah, Star Trek. I was trying to remember. Like he dies, but there's like a prototype clone of him, like a prototype version of him that stays on. I don't remember if it has all his memories, but I know it survives.
Yes, the prototype version of him has all of his memories because it's in the communicator that he puts on Picard at the end of
Okay.
Like, yeah. I don't know. All right, let's wrap this up. Because this has become Star Trek talk.
Yeah, it's Star Trek talk.
Guys, it has been a hectic 2018. And I apologize that there's only been 4 episodes of GDX, and I wish that there was more. But it's the start of GDX, the end of Gaming Death, and I promise that 2019, as long as my health holds out, should be a lot better than 2018 was. We'd be more consistent on stuff. If you're watching this on YouTube, you can see that the last video had some Red Dead playing while we were talking. So
yeah,
maybe there'll be. If you guys like that, let me know, and I will do that for every episode. I'll record, an hour, 2 hours of me just playing a game, and you can watch me playing a game while you listen to the podcast.
Everyone loves Let's Plays and streaming.
But I don't stream, and I don't do Let's Plays. All I did was I took me playing Red Dead Redemption 2, turned the sound of Red Dead Redemption 2 off, and put our podcast over me playing.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Did it come out pretty good?
It looks fine. That's what episode 3 is on YouTube, so it's not just our logo playing for the 2 hours.
Okay. That's interesting. I dig it.
It got like 12 views on it.
All right. We're on the way.
Well, yeah, everybody's got to start somewhere.
Yeah.
All right, guys, but that's going to do it for tonight and for 2018. I'm Chris.
I'm Caleb.
Have a good night, everybody.
Night, guys.